everyone. Today I wanted to introduce the awesome Rebecca OBrien. Did I say that right? Hopefully.
Yes.
And she is with us from Sweden right now, which is so awesome. Uh, would you tell us a little bit more about your company and yourself?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Brittany. I'm so glad we could do this. Get together and speak about, one of our favorite topics, but also such an important one as well. So I help professionals, powerhouse professionals, execs, reduce stress and avoid burnout, and of course, create sustainable success. And really what that is to, look at yourself as a person, and we're all individuals. So of course, burnout can definitely happen to different people for different reasons, but really being able to control and zone down and get to know yourself and where you stand and what your values are and beliefs are, to go out there. And I really find to get clarity and confidence in, moving forward in your goals and dreams, what you want to achieve, and ultimately, sustainable success throughout your life, but also sustainable health goes with that as well. And it's so important to have these two, in hand to be able to really, thrive and not just survive.
And thank you for your mission because I genuinely like via LinkedIn, vibe with you because I understand the importance of what you do and you're just a good person. So again, happy to have you on.
Thank you.
Of course. And one of the
Thank
questions
you.
I wanted to segue to, because you help with burnout, is that have you seen more that there's burnout at the top, the middle, or the bottom? Is there anyone that you feel is more susceptible to being burnt out?
I think it's definitely a few different factors, and also with, the levels that they're on. Of course, high execs and high achievers, really top jobs of, VPs, entrepreneurs will fall into that category. But mainly, we look at the personality type of A-type personality, which has those traits of burnout. But then I've also found with younger generations and those that are, coming up and going into their first job after college and university, we need to really remember that they have grown up in a totally different time from what we have, even if I'm, we're not 80 years old yet, but I'm still, I'm 41, and I know that things have completely changed just in our time with the people coming up now that are 21. And with social media, with added pressures, with, perhaps having a phone from when they're so young, information coming at them in all different angles. Of course, their brain and growing up with this has been a huge factor in, what they can handle on a base of learning and information and taking in. And ultimately, unfortunately, then I see a lot of burnout with those going into their first jobs.
I can see that, the Generation Z, I really like them. They are really driven, and me being a millennial, and maybe I'm biased, but I feel like we almost paved the way for them in a sense that like we kind of started to be like, more freedom at work and this and that.
Yeah.
Like we had to deal with a lot of the struggles, and they're more so putting it into action now. And now for them, it's a bit of a culture shock.
Yeah. Very much so.
What you're, alluding to with the whole, them burning out faster because they get into these companies that might not be good for them, and they burn out easier because they're like, this is not what I want. And then people talk down on these generations like millennials and Gen Z, like, oh, well, they just job hop, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's more to it than that.
There's definitely more to it with that. And it's so spot on. Like you say, people look at it, oh, they're job hopping. They can't focus on one thing and stay within a company. And I mean, it's not like it used to be either. Like the way of staying with one company for, 40, 50 years, that's not happening, even, 10 years now. So, and I see no problem with that. If you're staying a year or two, or whichever you want to stay 3 years, that is, that's fine, because ultimately you shouldn't stay in a company that is, making you, unhappy, or you are seeing very many red flags of toxic culture, poor leadership. They're not aligned, with your values and where you want to go. And with those coming out from university and college, I say, these are your 20s, do as much as possible and try as much as possible, to see ultimately where's your true passion and heart.
Yes.
And you can, follow that line down to finding your purpose.
Right. Because the stigma of job hopping is going away.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a good thing. And
Yeah.
I even read a study, which I'll try to link on here if I find it, that was about Gen Z genuinely would stay somewhere if they're happy. It's just that they're not going to if they're not. So it's like, here's looking at you, companies.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Common denominators, you.
Yeah, common denominators, you. I mean, even with so many, we see the studies of what's important to them now going out when they're looking for a job, and what's on the top 3, top 4 values that they're looking for. It's not money automatically, it's not, oh, I need to get these and these promotions within 6 months to a year, 2 years. It's going at, culture is much, much higher now. Money is down on 5th or 6th place. And it's the flexibility. They want, the communication, the great culture. They want to be, heard and understood, and really feel that they have a say in things and are in the community and the team, and the organization ultimately, together.
Absolutely. And I hope all you guys are listening, because this is
Yeah.
good stuff.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's so important, because the thing is, today, don't stay in a job that makes you unhappy. Like, if you are somewhere and you are not feeling it, it's been months and you're just staying there for, a paycheck. Yes, I can understand a financial concern. Of course, that goes for us all. But there's so many companies out there today that are great and really, value and take on being a fantastic culture and leadership and their employees. And that's what's mattered, that is really what matters to them. And if you just do a little searching, they're getting more and more today, and a lot of companies are definitely understanding this and hopping on. But yeah, it might take, some time, and might take some effort, looking for that new job. I get that. But it is so worth it in the end, with everything. It is 10 times, your life will change forever. Don't just stay in a role, because of it.
Absolutely. And we talked offline about how we both have been in groups that have had different burnout rates. It was a toxic or bad work environment. And me and you had pulled chocks, and we're in the beginning. We were one of the first ones to be like, nope, goodbye.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we saw other people,
Yes.
pulling out as well. And there's something
Yeah.
to be said about that.
Yeah, yeah. It is. I think it becomes so very clear on that. With my company, I was there for 4 years. And we had changed, leadership was not great. Even higher, management owners was not great either. But we had changed our nearest bosses, and let's say the directors are on that level a few times. So we've gotten about 2-3 people in within these 4 years. But what I thought was so alarming really is when I burnt out then after those 4 years, and I immediately was on sick leave. We were just a small team of 25 people, sales manager, key account directors. And it was within 2-3 months that another person, got sick and they were burnt out. And then it was another one. And within, 6 months after, there was 5 people that left, my team.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was kind of like, okay, this is so sad, but it doesn't surprise me because I could definitely, pull it back to these and these people, this and this environment, these and these, rules or regulations, or let's say lack of,
right,
and lack of, job descriptions and the whole 9 yards.
And, that's why I thought we had a synergy, with your wellness and helping CEOs and a lot of people with burnout and culture, because that it goes hand in hand. Like if you're in a bad work environment, you're going to get burnt out faster. So do yourself a favor. And because you can get burnt out, as I'm sure you can tell us, I'm sure that people can still get burnt out in a great culture. It's just they are putting that on themselves. Maybe more so.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And really with this, it's such an important point, because I think people will, on one hand, they'll look at burnout and say, oh, it's only a work thing. I'm fine. This won't bother me. I'm great at work. But it is actually, it can happen even if you are at work. And those factors can be different for everyone, but even for myself, and I can look at that, as this example, unfortunately, going through this, that work was a big part of it, but it wasn't just work. It was, my relationships. It was things that I hadn't gone through or let's say worked on and done my inner work for so many years, 15, 20 years of really just shutting everything down, putting my feelings aside, putting emotions, putting, my body screaming, trying to scream at me for help. And me just kind of like, I'm on the career train. I don't want to hear it. I'm just like, focus, let's go.
Right. Yep. Definitely been there. And that's the quickest way to burn out, is not focusing on yourself, your, your alignment. And if you're a hippie,
alignment.
You know what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah. The alignment thing that, I had to learn the hard way, as I say, because, I got to go through a lot of deep work and a lot of, healing with that of alignment. And it's so important, I think, wherever you're doing in your career, but also looking at these passions and looking at, ultimately finding your purpose and what you want to do in life as well. It truly is mind, body, and soul, and just listening to what do I want? What brings me joy? What is fun? What do I want to be doing?
Absolutely. And I hope that, everyone out there listening, that you understand it's not just me and her are in our feelings and we're too emotional. Like, no, you need to dive deep into do your shadow work and figure out all the issues that you may have in here, because it comes out on the outside and it affects your career, your home life, everything. So you're way more susceptible to being burnt out if you don't have yourself in order.
Yes. Yeah. Because the thing is also, I mean, going through that, that was a difficult situation. And I'm sure you can understand that as well. Any work that we do with ourselves, it's not pretty. I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, it is not pretty. It is not fun. But the outcome of it, and to actually go through that and live, as whole or in alignment with myself now, is I can pick up on so many other things of what is going on, and especially what is going on inside myself from, moment to moment, day to day, situation, environments, energies, absolutely. But I think the most important one is I can feel now within hours if I'm pushing myself a bit too far or pushing myself towards a burnout. I know immediately. and I know exactly what I need in that moment to, okay, take a step back, you know, let's do a lot of self-care, a lot of rest and relaxation. And it's something I have practiced.
And we, one of our logo here for this show was, sustainable success. And
Yes.
I wanted to ask you if you thought this was correct, but I think that, especially with all the work that we've done on ourselves, one of the biggest important things for sustainable success, I feel, is knowing your boundaries, which is almost kind of aligns with your signs of burnout. Is like knowing your boundaries, like what you will and will not put up with in a culture too. Like if I
Yeah.
smell an ounce of toxicity,
Yeah.
I'm out.
You're gone. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And, you know, you can see that and we understand that and kind of what is acceptable and kind of what is not. And that really goes if setting your boundaries is, you know, everything really true to yourself and but true to boundaries can be, you know, within other people or with other people, within your energy, within what do I want, what are my boundaries, the self-respect, self-worth within that. You know, we can go to boundaries with friends, family as well. So it is really being aware and knowing, okay, this is where I draw the line.
For sure. Like just self-awareness of what we will and will not put up with that we maybe have in the past that led us to burnout before. And because we know, because we've already been there, but we like annotated already, like this is what sets me off. So let me avoid that.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
But thank you again for being on with me so much. I appreciate it. Everyone's going to learn a bunch.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much for having me. I love this.